Hello, you guys. I am trying to get you all logged in. Let me see what's going on. Okay. Okay, people are here. Yeah, I about had a heart attack. Okay, people are starting to come in. Okay. You guys, I almost had a heart attack. Okay, I'm just waiting for more people to join me. All you guys should be getting messages that the group is going live. I have 3 people that are seeing me. Type in your name. You guys, I just had a little bit of a technological problem today, but I am okay for now, and we will be starting momentarily. If you go to the Facebook group, you could be seen in the group. Okay, there we go. Hey, Patricia. Hey, McGuire. How you doing? Uh, like I said, people should be filling in. I don't know why. We'll go 10 minutes over, but we should be able to cover all the material. Just ran into a technological thing. What's up, Janetta? How are you doing today? Someone is texting me. One second. Uh, hold up. Okay, so for all of you that got in, how did you get in? I think you mostly got in on the Facebook page. Am I correct? Sorry it was so cumbersome, Keith. I don't know what happened either, my friend, but it is giving me a fit, and I apologize for the inconvenience. But there are a lot of people saying they tried to get in tonight. Anyways, tell me who you are from and where you are from, and we will just give other people a few moments to get in, and then we will get started, okay? You say that is correct, Denisha? It is correct. Okay, I think people are starting to pick it up. People are starting to trickle in. Algerine, I think you were on the group and you went and got everybody in. Thank you very, very, very much. Hey, Algerine, do me a favor. Look on the group, and if it doesn't seem like it's clear for how people could get in, let me know. Okay, seems like people are coming in. People are figuring it out. All right, just checking to make sure here. Okay, people are here. The people that text me are here. All right, you guys. Thank. It says still buffering, but not able to hear. Can most of you hear me? Because I don't know if that's a local thing or if that's a me thing. Because you should be able to hear me. If you could hear me, just type in HEAR and we will get started. Yeah, I think you might want to try to log back in, McGurr. Everybody else can hear me and everybody else can see me there on the browsers. Yeah, so I'm getting overwhelming sense that people can. Anyway, so just try to log back out and log back in. The link isn't working. Okay, what happened is I set my meeting at 8 and it didn't show the end time being 8 to 9. So it just cut off at 8. So I'm sorry. Anyway, so yeah, it looks like most people are able to get in. We will get started. So for everybody, we are going to start just by saying thank you. I appreciate you, especially dealing with the technological challenge. I hate that that's happened, but anyways, we are here now. So we started out last night, and or we started out 2 nights ago. Last night we did day two. Day two, where we looked at the first part of closing the gap. So I'm going to go to our homework right now. 1 second. Let me go there. Okay, so we are here in the presentation. I'm going to go to the. All right. Okay, everybody can see my slides okay? Okay, so we will start by looking at last night's homework. So for all of you that did the homework and got the workbook, I want you to go to the browser and just type in that you were able to do the homework. Any questions on the homework? Any comments on the homework? What was it like comparing your homework to your spouse's homework? Your answers compared to theirs. I know a lot of times what I see with couples is they see stuff totally different. So I have one spouse that comes in and they are okay. So money says it was similar. Our spouses come in. One person will say like, "Best marriage ever. I'm totally happy." Few moments of this or that, but we're good. The other spouse says, "Look, I'm thinking about leaving," and I don't ever take that as a bad thing when people see it differently. Because people are just having different experiences. So if I get someone that is, remember, a meta processor from last night and they're not getting communication, that non processor is happy. That non processor loves you to death and they're good. So just, I want us to truly recognize that this is an individual thing and people experience it differently. So we were on day 3. Hey, how you doing, Kiki? How you doing, Gloria? Enlightening but not shocking. Okay, how was it enlightening? Anyone want to share their experience? Feel free, and I'll spend a few moments to comment as people start to figure out how to get back in. So any comments? Sound is gone. Lisa says sound is gone. Is sound gone for other people too? Or can some people hear me and some people can't? Yeah, because I'm watching this being broadcast out the group. So I will say again, if you could hear me, just type in you could hear me. I don't know what the case is. I just say go to the. Okay, Chanel says she can hear me well. Okay, people can hear me. So if you can't, just try logging back in, and it should be fine. So we're gonna get started. Acknowledging. Okay, sound is great in Hyattsville, McGuire. Okay, he's in now. It wasn't before. Okay, I think it seems like people can hear me. Hey, what's up, Ladon? How you doing? That Raven shirt on, Kimberly, and I love the Ravens. So we're gonna start, like I said, with homework. Uh, we looked at yesterday at day 2 homework. The thing we wanted you to do is go and look at your magic formula. And for those of you without the workbook, it's a great place to do it because it compares them for you. I want you to look at your magic formula. So, did you find that you two shared the same magic formula? That you saw it like they saw it? Or were you like, 1 to 2, and they were like 4 to 1 or something like that. Anyways, just type in the browser what some of the differences in your scores were on the magic couple ratio. I asked you to look at what side of the ledger you spend the most time on. And it's always interesting because every couple will say, spouse will say, I'm making a lot of deposits, very few withdrawals, but they're making a lot of withdrawals and very few deposits. So just kind of type in the browser what that was. Which perspective best reflects your marriage? Negative sentiment override or positive sentiment override? So we've checked in with that. Now, what I want you to do is to look at today's questions, and we're going to go to page 18 and we're going to look at what types of problems do couples face. I want you to make sure you look at that in the workbook. What are your perpetual differences or your perpetual problems? And we'll explain what that is. Why is cutting a deal so hard? Why is cutting a deal so hard? And finally, we're going to look at what does quid pro quo not only mean, but what does it mean for your marriage? So those are the things that we will go over today. Hey, Keisha, how you doing? So we are going to jump right in. And I am going to tell you one of the most amazing things I found with couples. That is that people hire the same and marry the opposite. People hire the same, marry the opposite. Think about it. When you're dating someone that's different than you, it's just, it's exciting. They see life differently. When you're anxious and worried, they help you relax. They help you laugh. Where you may be fashion challenged, they are just, oh my God, glamorous, smart. So I ain't really attracted to the nerds. That person over there, they're not a nerd. In fact, they're very popular. And boy, socially, I go out with them. Opposites attract. So people hire the same and marry the opposite frequently. Not all bad. What's bad is when we expect them to act the same. When we expect them to act the same. Newsflash, they don't act the same. They don't act the same. So, what we're going to do is help you bridge the gap when they don't act the same. How do you figure out how to do that? So, before I go any further, anyone in here, be honest with me, be honest with us. Anyone here different than their spouse, if not the opposite? I'm looking at your comments. I'm waiting for them to come in. Anyone different? Okay, a few people are starting to comment. Opposite, yes. Janetta says opposites. I'm different. Polar. Keisha, you are different. Timothy Tillman says not exactly the opposite, but close. Charles Smith, you may have the quote of the night. You said polar opposite. Crawford, different. Yes, indeed. Total opposite. Same in professional drive, different in approach in family. Narada, yes. Ladon, I don't think too many people are saying we're the same, right? Donald needs you to to accept him into the group. Let me go and see. Give me 1 second, you guys. I'm going to let some other people in the group. I thought, hold up. Let's get my request here. Okay. So I'm not showing new members. Let me refresh. Oh, here we go, right here. So we as people hire the same and marry the opposite. So he should be in the group. People hire the same and marry the opposite. And then y'all tell me the truth. What do you want them to do once they are married to you? Do you want them to stay the opposite, or do you want them to act in a way that makes more sense to you? them to be like us, right? We want them to do it the only way that makes sense. Yeah, I think your husband just got in. If he's not in, tell him to go to African American Marriage Counseling and just click on the link, and that will let him in. You don't need to be a group on my fan page. Anyway, so what's it like? You know, you got this spouse, you guys have so much in common, you have such big things that you're doing, but they do it the opposite. They do not approach it like you do. You are an introvert, they are an extrovert. Lisa, I think, might have said it best because this is actually the answer I was looking for, which is we want them to compliment us. We want them to compliment us because compliments do better because we're going to be different. But opposites have some unique advantages. If we could get a relationship where everyone could act in their zone of genius, where everyone could act in their zone of genius. Tamika says, act in a way that makes sense. I want her to be herself, Timothy, and not be me. That is on point. So I'm going to say all couples have differences. All couples have differences, no matter who it is. The thing is, there are three types of problems that all couples face. And we're going to talk about those three types of problems. This is from Dr. Gottman's research. You notice I use him a lot. I've done 3 of his certifications, and he is the Sigmund Freud of marital psychology. He has written 47 books, one of which is The Mathematics. So Narita says, share the goals and the timelines. The goals is just for us to get to this. We started 10 minutes late, so we will be out of here like right at 9 after Narita. Great question, though. So the goal that we are going to go over, just in case people want that, is we're going to look at the 3 types of challenge all couples face. And the next thing we're going to look at is how do we apply them to our life? How do we figure out how to resolve those 3 types of conflicts? So that's what we'll be going through. So the first type of problem is called a type 1 problem. Type 1 problem, 29% of all problems. It is what is called a solvable problem. Solvable problems mean, can we have a meeting of the mind to resolve it? So it's been COVID, things have been crazy. You got a big meeting, and he says, look, this is the big one. I'm going to call off half the day so I could take the kids. Solvable. We just have a meeting of the mind. Hey, I know I said I was going to pick up from soccer all month. Can't do it this first week because I'm going to be in training. But I'll tell you what, if you do drop off and pick off, I'll show up with dinner, or I'll have dinner done at home. And we just have a meeting of the mind and we resolve them. Most couples can get through this. It's 29% of the problems that couples face, 29%. So the next batch is what we call perpetual problems. And what do I mean by perpetual problems? Perpetual problems are the same problems in new outfits, the same problem in new outfits. So Chanel has shared the link. If any of you need to share the link with somebody, it is right there. And it will be usually helpful if someone wants to get in, and it will add them to the broadcast. So you can just send them this link. So type 2 and type 3 are perpetual. By perpetual, I simply mean that they are problems based on lifestyle and personality. Lifestyle and personality. And what do I mean by that? Lifestyle is, I'm a neat freak. You're a slob. And you'll be surprised. People do the opposites with that, which is interesting to me because that is one of the most frustrating things I've seen with couples because it feels so personal. So lifestyle, personality, introvert, extrovert. Introvert, extrovert. We all think of introverts and extroverts in a way we should reconsider. We think of how well you do with people is an extrovert and how well you don't do with them as an introvert. But the reality is, how do you recharge your battery? So you guys out there, do you recharge your battery through solitude or with people? Go to the browser and tell me, and I'll tell you what that means and the significance of that for your marriage. and it'll help you see what your spouse is too. So, do you resolve your conflicts through people or solitude? You could put a P in the browser or an S. So, Timothy says people. Lisa says solitude. Denisha says solitude. Roxanne, solitude. People. And these are split, and these usually are likely to be 50-50. But what is the significance, right? Jennifer Bell, you were able to get on. Okay, solitude. So, if you recharge your battery, oh, I'm resolving with people. If you recharge your battery or your spouse recharges your battery through solitude, all the people that type an S in the browser, when you come home after a stressful day with people, do you want to connect with them or do you need to do something else? Like sit down, have a glass of wine, go cut on whatever is on TV, whatever it is. If you recharge your battery through solitude after a hard day's work with people, what do you want to come home and do? Because I want you guys to see it's not you. Keith says something else. Kimberly says solitude. So people that are introverts, according to, and this is from the Myers-Briggs definition, what do you want to do when you come home? Smoke a cigar. I need quiet and wind down time. Chill for a second. This is all the introverts. So this isn't your spouse, and it's really important that we understand it's not personal. So Denisha, you might be more in the middle, as you said, connect with your spouse. And usually, a lot of times, that's what extroverts want to do. They want to spend quality time, talk to my sister, interact. And so, how does that play out when we first greet each other? It could start the evening off with friction. It could start the evening off with tension. It could start the evening off with the challenge. So I'm gonna show this thing because I know a lot of you think I'm just saying this, and let me show everybody's comments. So realize this is not your spouse. These are all the all the introverts and what they're saying they want to do. Smoke a cigar, need some quiet time, connect with them, something else. I say that to say because a lot of times that's where the evening's first pitfall occurs. You come home, if you're an extrovert, you want to do what? And I saw some of the responses. Extroverts, what do you want to do? Likely recharge your battery with your spouse. Likely be with them. Decompress is what introverts do before caring for my family. They didn't say that they didn't want to care for their family. So it's like this. They come home and they're on red bars. You know how you want to plug your phone in? Boy, I'm glad I made it. Man, I didn't lose that last call after all. Keith says, give me a 30-minute break. I want to share my day and connect with my partner. Probably more of an extrovert. So let's just recognize it's not personal. Let's build it into the formula. So let's get some ground rules around interacting. Hey, for the first 30 minutes, for the first hour, it's yours. But when you come home, give me 15 minutes first. Say hi to the kids, kiss them, check in, ask how was their week, homework, friends, all the things that we ask, any games that you definitely need to go to. Then give them 30, 45, 50 minutes, whatever they need. Hey, we'll meet at the dinner table. Obviously, I'm giving a more traditional schedule. But that's what I want us to do is accept that, boy, we have to respond to who they are. Remember yesterday I said we could get everything we want if we just help our spouse get what they want. So let's be very clear on that. We have to help them get what they want, but people are telling you that have never met you, that have never met your spouse, that that's what extroverts do and expect, and that's what introverts do. So likely not just your spouse, right? Okay. So, and Lisa says, or not, Renee says, I want to share my day and connect with my partner. I want you to too. I just want you to do it in a way that's effective. I want you to do it in a way that you don't experience rejection because you're just excited to see them. You're just excited to see them, okay? So, anyways, it's big, it's huge because that is how our day is going to go. So, we have to make sure we get it off to a bang as opposed to a bust. Anyways, 1 second here. Okay, so those are the the three types of problems. The first one, solvable. The second one, perpetual. Remember this is based on personality and lifestyle. Introverts and extroverts are frequently together, so I always spend more time with them because they tend to marry the opposites. Face it, introverts could be very mysterious when you're dating them. I had this woman say that today. He was so mysterious. And then when they got together every day, she's like, okay, he's just quiet. Anyways, so type 2 problems and type 3 problems are what we call perpetual problems. They are 69%. That's 69% of all problems that couples face. And they share the word perpetual because they're based on personality and lifestyle, which doesn't change. So, to fix these types of problems, we have to cut a deal. We have to cut a deal. What do I mean by cutting a deal? It means we have to find a way to meet in the middle. The problem with cutting a deal is simply this. We got to give up something important to us. Hey, I come home, I want to greet and meet, and all that goes with that, right? And you're standoffish. You can't be too excited to see me. We got to give up that feeling of rejection. We have to give up, okay, I need to recharge my batteries yet. Yeah, I got that one that's flickering, but I'm going to be okay. And as Natalie says, we really got to start to listen to each other and accept it's not personal. It's how you are wired. And that's why I put all these comments up here and let you see them so that you know this is not you. You are not alone. Anyway, so perpetual problems, if we cut a deal, if we could give up something that we want that's important to us, we'll be fine. So I had one couple in particular. The family of the wife, they were drinkers. And on the holidays, they would go there, and after about the second drink, he's like, please get me out of here. He's not a drinker at all, right? And everybody sloshed. And so he wasn't going to go. He wasn't going to go to Thanksgiving. And so we came in here and we said, you know, we got to cut a deal. He's like, but I want to be around drinkers. She's like, you need to come see my family. And so they were pretty hardcore about it. And so what we did is we just cut a deal. And what he did is he got a hotel with a big swimming pool in it. So he sent everybody a text and he said, look, this is what we're going to do. You're right, Trinity, compromise. We are going to have all the kids come with me because I don't know they should be around everybody drinking anyways. And they're going to get in the pool. And babe, you're going to take the Uber home because I'm not going to come and get you because I don't want to be around everyone drunk. They both gave up something that they wanted and they were able to keep that tradition alive. So that is the importance of type 2 problems. Now we're going to go to type 3 problems, which are perpetually gridlocked. And by perpetually gridlocked, what I mean simple as this. Perpetually gridlocked problems means we don't cut a deal. We don't find a way to have that meeting of the mind. We get locked in. We say your way or my way or the highway. And it gets worse. It gets worse. We don't cut a deal. Now we are in a situation where we have a Cold War or a hot war, but we're not cutting no deal. We're just out and out fighting. And so not cutting a deal is simply this. One of the things that I came to realize with couples Timothy Butts is saying selfishness. It feels selfish. But we assume that there's a myth of one truth, our truth. So because my family interacts this way, they didn't drink. What's wrong with your family that they do? We think, hey, we're together. All sleep on the couch. You wake up, two, three people are on top of you. It's great. I grew up in that type of family. Some people grew up in different families where they all had their own room. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of us ain't have our own room. We had folk in our room with us. And don't get me wrong, it's a great style. And we're close to this day because of that. But that doesn't work for everybody. So, hey, you grew up in your own room, that family style is not going to work. Recognize when we get married, it is a cross cultural experience. No, that doesn't mean racially necessary. I mean, you could have two people that grew up on the same block. On the same block. All right, I'm asking a question of you all. If your marriage is a cross cultural experience, go to the browser and type in CC. I should see a lot of CCs populating. So we have a myth that there's one truth, and that truth is ours. In this case, that everybody grew up like I did. Everybody's got CC, right? We grew up, and everybody defines growing up like we did. Not the case at all. You and your spouse likely have families that are very different, that communicate differently, that interact differently, just the way it is. Timothy says, my kids, her kids, adopted kid. Yeah, different. Treat kids differently too. So, marriage is a cross cultural experience. Let's just accept that off the top. It means that there's not possible that you and your spouse are going to see things the same way. So, only in math is there one truth. If I got any math people out there, you guys could answer this. Michael Williams, thanks for writing it out. Thank you, Erica Platt, Natalie. So, this is what I want to say to you. If you think that there's one truth, I want to say that's a myth. Only in math. Everybody in the browser, go type in 2 plus 2 equals what? Tariq is actually a math person. He knows. Went to Georgia Tech and Morehouse. 2 plus 2 equals 4. What? Oops, I gave an answer where y'all wouldn't have got that, right? What does 2 plus 2 equal? Go to the browser. Just type it in for me. Humor me. 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Only in math is there one truth. Emotionally, let me see how many people are in this call. All of us have a different truth. So when couples come in, they got their truth, and I say there's at least 3 truths here. So there's a myth of one truth, and it's yours, and you own it. But something bad happens. I'll tell you what happens. What happens is, hey, Derek, case for niece. What happens is simply this. We tell our friends what we say is our truth. Oh, we're being open-minded. We're being fair. We're being objective. They really don't want to be in a marriage. They're really just selfish. They're really just a narcissist. They're this. And we tell them and they co-sign. But that person may not be a narcissist. So we may say, oh man, she or he just, thank you, sure, money. She or he just doesn't want to have sex with me anymore. They got kids now. They don't need me. They never really wanted sex. I talk to that person because I always hear both sides of the story. Don't want sex. What are you talking about? The only time we talk is to have sex. The only time you flirt with me is to have sex. The only time you spend quality time, boy, we better have sex. You don't court me. We don't spend any romantic time outside of the bedroom. So no, it's not just that I want to have sex. It's just we don't have any foreplay. So you don't hear that side. You hear, yeah, last 60 days we had sex once. Bam. Lisa, A of the day, baby. A of the day. Truth is somewhere in the middle. Truth is somewhere in the middle. So we don't account for the reality that there's another truth. And that's the myth of one truth. We get a cosign, it's a law. Now we treat that person like they're guilty. Remember the negative sentiment override I talked about last night? It is now in our marriage and it is intractable. We're not getting it out. And as I said here, why is it so hard? Because we have to give up something core and basic to who we are. The example I gave of the couple, he really wanted his wife to have the experience. I mean, it was 8 of them. And it was, she wanted them to have the experience. And they were really close. And she wanted to bring him in. And they all thought he was an outsider. And they found a way to strike a balance, but they both had to give up something. He really honestly just wanted them to start a new tradition and be at home for Thanksgiving with their kids without anyone. Had to give that up. Because she was like, look, that's my family. I want my kids to know their cousins. I want my aunts to know their nieces and nephews. Boy, instead of having an impasse and a no-win situation, we created a win-win by giving up something that's important to us. Hey, Karen Butler, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us tonight. So we want you to know it's not always personal. To cut a deal, you have to accept it's not personal. It wasn't personal. He wanted to start his own tradition. It just wasn't going to work Thanksgiving. But they cut another deal around first of the year where he did get to start his tradition and they didn't go nowhere. They had friends over after going to church. That was a big thing. So it's not always personal. It's not personal that she wanted to be around her family. Anyways, so this introduces a concept that we have to master. For those of you, and I'm sure many of you are here, have heard, if not all of you, the term quid pro quo. One hand washes the other. One hand washes the other. So, with the type 2 problems, if one hand washes the other, an amazing thing happens. So if I could acknowledge your truth, because this is about the power of acknowledgement, yeah, your family is important to you. Hey, our family starting our own tradition is important to them. Our kids not being around people who are slosh is important to them. We could cut a deal. Because we think that if we say our position louder, like if I jump up on this desk and I stomp and I scream, you're going to hear me. No, you're going to think I'm a lunatic. You're going to think I'm a nut. Man, why are you always tripping? You keep going there with this. What's the problem? You're not listening to me. You're like, why are you on the desk, right? The truth is the opposite will work. If you just whisper their perspective, if you just whisper, hey, babe, you know, I was thinking, here's a great way for us to be with your family for Thanksgiving. You know, I know they're important to you. I like them. Actually, your family's great. I don't know if I like them as much drunk, and I'm certainly not going to drink. So here's a way that we can help you be with your family Thanksgiving. Bam! They have nothing to defend. Family's important to me too. It's true. So what I want you to think about is quid pro quo. So if I listen to you, guess what happens to your hearing? It gets better. It gets better. Just want to acknowledge, Renee, John, it is so true. And people come in and they say, well, what's the crux of this whole marital therapy? That's it right there. Fire me. You can fire me. I'll like be excited. Like, you got it. Hey, go out. You guys be happy. Release people to their destiny, right? Which is a good one. They already made a good decision in most cases. So that is a type 2 problem. And that is how we have a cut a deal and we give up something important to us. So I want you all to do me a favor. I want you all to think about a recent conflict that you may have had. And I want you to just go to the browser and type in one point that was important to them. One point that was important to them. And I'm going to read some of these out because I think this is very important. that we start the process of saying, hey, what did they need to get a win here? I know what I needed to get a win. What did they need to get a win? What's one thing they needed? One person. Well, actually, more than one. Uh, okay. So I'm just going to wait for those responses to come in. I know I ask questions where people think. So, Lisa, you talk about something important, right? So, let me just go to the comments here. So, Lisa is talking about, let me go back up to Lisa. Lisa is talking about they want to be right. But why do they want to be right? So, no offense to Lisa, kind of cynical in a way. And this is why I say it's not all they want to do is be right. Do they want to do the best thing for the family? Like, she wanted him to come to Pittsburgh. She was right about that, or wanted to be right. But she wanted them to come because she wanted, she wanted, I want you to know, my kids to know their grandmother and grandfather. I want my kids to know their cousins. I want my kids to know their aunts and uncles. Wanted to be right about family. He was right too. He didn't want his kids around drunk adults. They become obnoxious sometimes. He was right in that he wanted them to form their own rituals so that they had something unique that they passed around to their kids, going to church and being at home together New Year's night. People don't just want to be right, they want to be effective. They want to do the best thing for their family. And that's what you have to start acknowledging about their perspective. Once I say, yeah, family's everything, we're good. So I'm going to read through some of these. You guys, let me go back here. Okay. Life and relationships are not empirical. That's right. Empirical meaning mathematical. It's wrong or right. There's that gray area in between where it is effective. It's not black or white. Three sides to every story. Okay, so let me get down to these. So let's go with this one. So it would seem on the face of it, boy, Renee, you're being negative, right? Or they make you feel non existent. So I'll get that from people a lot. That is not a negative comment. It looks like a negative comment. It probably comes from a lot of hurt and pain, but it's really, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Renee, it's saying, hey, if this is going to work, I need to make you feel like a priority and I need to feel like a priority. We need to make each other feel like a priority in this marriage if it's going to work. That's someone fighting for the marriage. This other thing they just don't like because it's destroying the marriage as they see it, or at least limiting it. So I say that to say because we have to really listen and say, what's the core value that that person is representing? I'll read some of these. I already talked about being right. Enjoying a day off. Yeah, someone wants quality time. They want to spend time with you. You always book stuff up. You're off. You go play golfing. You're off. You're out with your girls. Whatever the case may be. I want us to have some time off. That's fixing the marriage. Me not to talk. I'm not sure I understand that one as well. Patience. Yeah, who wants to be hollered? And I'm a hollerer. I probably should whisper that one. But I'm a hollerer and I got to be more patient. And if you are out and you're hollering and you're being short, they're saying they just want peace. Hey, I don't want everybody in the house to feel like they're walking on eggshells because at any moment you might kirk out. Hard to accept that kind of feedback. Planning. Yes, I want organization. I want to be efficient. I want our family to make the most out of the resources that we have. I will let him finish his point, get away from his family. He needs to acknowledge I was wrong. Me helping them with something unreasonable. I think spouses really get frustrated when they see their spouses do unreasonable things or make unreasonable, have their spouse's family make unreasonable demands or friends on them because I want to protect you. I think they're taking advantage of you. I notice you always the one in the minivan running around picking everyone up. No one picks our kid up. That's not fair. And I want to protect you. Respect. We operate on a different time schedule. He gets quickly, takes me a minute to get out the door, and this is literal. You know, that's interesting, Karen. So that's fine in and of itself that we're different. But if you have a partner that's OCD, even a tad bit OCD or stickler for time, and you don't know how they develop that, it hurts them personally not to be on time. They feel like it's an affront to their respect. It's an affront for their respect of others. It's an affront to how they're perceived as someone that's a good citizen and arrives on time. So there's another side to that. I got it, Renee. I'm glad to hear that. I respect again. Oh, you just said it. Erica Platt, how you doing, Erica? So I'm saying it's like last night, one of the statements that people took away the most was the sense that if you change the way you see things, the things you see will change. So, Michael Williams, you are getting into my psychological hat, but I'm going to answer it. Obsessive compulsive personality disorders, those are people that are different. They are rigorous and stringent just for the sake of being rigorous and stringent. They will give you paralysis by analysis, and that will drive you crazy. Now, I haven't heard the whole situation. I'm not making a diagnosis, but if that diagnosis is correct, something else goes with it. So, quid pro quo, to give something up, we really have to accept one hand washes the other. And if we want to cut a deal, that's an essential part of it. So I'm turning to my next screen video here. Renee, I want to solve this now. He wants to solve it later. And you know what? I don't know that's all bad. We don't have to be the same. Some people really need to get their ducks in a row. Some people really just need to get their ducks in a row. And they're not going to feel good about making a decision if they don't have them. Now, if they have OCPD, ducks in a row can mean something else. So that line is, I don't know where, but we got to balance that, or except, boy, we can't. Sometimes I just need to make a decision. So the power of acknowledgement is simply this. We have to point out what's true from their perspective. What is true about how they are seeing the problem? And we all see the problem different based on our perspective, based on our skill sets. We try to resolve it differently, but we're trying to fix the problem more times than not. We have to see what point are they trying to make and what's important from their perspective. I agree with you, Renee. They can add up. The only challenge I'm having is I can't really say OCPD because I've never met that person. I am a psychologist. In fact, I forgot to make my disclaimer. This is not psychotherapy in any way. You're fine with your question, Renee? It's not. It's psychoeducation support group, not a psychotherapy group. So I can't really diagnose. What is it? They are mentally retarded. Okay, someone is really saying how they feel. So the better you listen, the better your partner's hearing gets, and it is quid pro quo. Has anyone ever had that experience of their spouse really listening to them well? Just making you feel completely acknowledged. So we think acknowledgement is agreement. It's not. Someone go to the browser and type in acknowledgement is not agreement. You don't have to agree with someone to acknowledge them. In fact, most couples come into my office, they don't know whether I agree with them or not. They don't. I'll ask them, who do I agree with? They're like, I don't know. You didn't really say, Doc. I didn't. Said, do both of you feel acknowledged? I'm like, that's my job. Because if I can acknowledge you, I can move you. If I can acknowledge you, I can move you. Let me look at some of these crowd cuts. Okay, so I think we're kind of good. Acknowledgement is not agreement. I don't have to agree with you to acknowledge you. I can say, boy, I see you're really hurt about this. I definitely don't want to cause you no pain, which is true. Doesn't mean I don't think I did the right thing. How many people think they really did the wrong thing? Very few, actually. People don't run around thinking they did the wrong thing. People think they did the right thing. So let me just look at a few of these comments and I'll move on to my next slide. Okay. I'm glad you guys got the acknowledgement is not agreement. What you are doing simply is starting quid pro quo. One hand washes the other. Once you acknowledge them, what happens? Physiologically, you de escalate them. Physiologically, you de escalate them. Remember yesterday I said we go, if we're at 110 beats a minute, the blood goes to the reptile brain and not the frontal lobe where we could discriminate and make good decisions and balanced decisions. When we're here, we can't take in new information. So by acknowledging, we could bring you down. Narada, did my seemingly chaotic production here work for you? I hope so. I see you're still here and I appreciate you being here, but I definitely had a plan. Once we acknowledge someone, we de escalate them. Now they can take in new information. Now your spouse can hear you. You ever notice it seemed like they were just waiting to respond? Have you ever just waited to respond? So, if you've ever waited to respond, didn't listen, just, okay, when they going to shut up? Man, those lips are still moving. And when they're done, I'm going to say, yeah, and yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I'm going to come back with that. If you've ever done that, I'm going to type myself in the browser. If you've ever done that, I want you to tape R, capital R for rude. If they've done it to you, type in 2 R's. We'll let them be ruder. How about that? We're not having a conversation no more. We're just waiting to respond. We're not even listening to what they say. You know how many times I've come to people and I said, what they just say? I don't know. Look at all those R's. Thank you for sharing, Charles. So I'm like, okay. And then you think the other person, again, I'm going to do the same thing to them. So I said, well, you talk now, you listen. Same thing. We're not present. So people say, what happened to the gap? We used to be present. We used to listen to each other. We don't know more, and the gap has gotten wider and wider because we're not there. We're someplace thinking about 20 other fights we had and how when you shut up, you think that was check. Here goes checkmate. Here goes checkmate. So our hearing gets better when we do that. So remember, and I use Zig Ziglar this time, you could get everything in the world you want. You'll just help enough other people get what they want. Or you get everything you want if you help your spouse get what they want. They want to be acknowledged. I think it was Renee was talking about, made that comment, or was it Lisa? And I said, that's not a negative comment. It seems like one. But in reality, they don't know how to say it better. It's not happening, and they've grown frustrated. Used to be a priority. That's why I married you. You made me feel like the most important man or woman in the world. Now, not so much. Not so much. So what they need is acknowledgement. So this is the scary part of the story. So fasten your seatbelts. We are going to talk about type 3 problems. They are called perpetually gridlocked. I want you to go to the browser and type in a 3 or type in a PG. Type in a 3 or a PG. Perpetually gridlocked problems. This means they are based on personality, lifestyle. We didn't cut a deal. We said, I ain't giving up nothing. I'm not giving up a thing. You can give up some things. I'm not giving up nothing. We chose to be right instead of being effective. Instead of creating a win-win, we chose to create a win-lose. This is not a one-sided thing. People, very seldom is it a one-sided thing. It is two-sided. So we made that decision. We made that decision. We made that decision. I'm going to read Keith's statement. I like what you said there, Keith. You said, husband to wife, I hear you, but that doesn't mean I agree. But I do understand, sometimes, most of the time, but I respect your opinion. That statement is a game changer. Trinity, validation, threes, PG. Okay. Perpetual gridlock. Perpetual gridlock. This is the danger zone. If we are at 3, listen close, because we didn't cut a deal. We do something different. Marriage or divorce. marriage or divorce. We are at a fork in the road. We're at a we're at a fork in the road. We're literally at a fork. I want you to type in an F or the word fork because I want you to get this concept like no other because I want you to avoid being here. And more times than not, it is avoidable. For some of you that have been married before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a point before us hitting that tipping point where we likely could have salvaged things. We likely could have salvaged things. So you just have to understand that when we don't cut a deal, we resolve it in a different way. One or two ways: fire or ice. Fire or ice. We have a hot war or a cold war, Trinity. A cold war, LaDon. A cold war, Renee. Instead of turning towards each other, we turn on each other, which is a hot war, or we turn away from each other, which is a cold war. And if you've been in a marriage with a cold war, it's not something you soon forget. It is not something you soon forget. And it is time to get professional help. It is time to get professional help. And I say that because, the power of acknowledgement is an important thing. But with all this stuff, hey, I don't have the expectation that you're going to hear this and all of a sudden your marriage is going to change and you're going to be different in your marriage. The first is code in Lisa. I'm sorry, that was just struck me as so funny. But honest, but you've been consistently saying that. And what I want to say, sometimes it's time to get professional help or more help like this. And I'll talk about that because I've been thinking about people's comments and participation and engagement. And I'll be honest with you, this has been mind blowing for me. I just feel very honored that you all have let me come into your living rooms. Renee is frozen. But I'll talk about something else I might be offering later because I think there's a gap between this and coming to see someone like me, and maybe we need to help you fill that gap. Anyways, I'll talk about that a little later on in the week. Don't miss it. It will be the first time I've done anything like this. I want you to know, no matter how frozen you are, divorce rates drop as much as 30% with an intervention. I think LaDon's saying she got a heater up in this camp. They fighting with fire. They are playing with fire, and sometimes you can burn the house down. So, anyways, I just want you to know it is never too late. It is never too late to live your happily ever after. Your family needs you to do this. Figure out how do we cut a deal. I want you to go to the browser. If you saw a type 1 problem, type in T1. A type 2 problem, type in T2. I won't make you say T3, but if you are T3, it's because you had a type 2. At least that gets a drop. So type in what type of challenge you have. If you want to type in type T3, you can. Type in what type of problems you have seen in the browser so that you understand, hey, here's my approach. Type 1, we got to have a meeting of the mind. Type 2, we got to cut a deal. Type 3, we just got to talk to somebody. We just got to talk to somebody. Okay? We good? So I'm going to wrap up here. At the end of every session, I see a lot of type 1, 2, and 3s. That's about the proportion I would expect. So what we are going to do at this portion, and you can also share this. I've been sending out emails, and I'm sure you guys are getting them where I have the replays. They will be available to Saturday at midnight. At midnight, they will be available so you can get them. You could use them. You could share them with your spouse. Get the workbook. I put the link in the groups and on my Facebook page. It'll help you work through it. And 15 seconds of fame. What stood out for you all in the conversation tonight? T4, all of the above. Hey, it is. But they're all fixable. They just require different remedies, but they are all fixable. So, 15 seconds of fame. What stood out for you all in our session here tonight before we wrap up? Anthony says acknowledgement is agreement. Acknowledgement is agreement. We hire the same and marry the opposite. That is so true, McGuire. That is so true because that is exactly what we do. Bruce says the problem types, the willingness to work. You have to look at the type 1, 2, 3. That is exactly right. Paulette says acknowledgement. Acknowledgement's not agreement. Okay, need to come to a meeting of the mind. Keisha, we hire the same. So I thank you all. I hope you have the books. Do your homework based on the night. Have your spouse do it with you. Lisa said there is not one truth. Cutting a deal. Timothy says acknowledgement doesn't mean agreement. If I listen better, his hearing will get better. Angie, bingo. Bingo. I hope you all heard that. Anyways, I thank you all for letting me into your lives. This has been great. And we will come back and we will jump right into it. And we will see you tomorrow. I need too much. I need a blank too much. I don't know what that is, Karen. The emotional truths. I thank you all, and I will see you guys in the group. Carnita, I don't know if you're on the call, but you are the winner of our robes. You are the winner of our robes. All right, you guys. Great session. I appreciate you all. Thank you for your trust. And we will see you tomorrow.